Okay, last week in math class, let's go through it. So on Monday, we did a grades check because it's pretty much the end of the quarter. We needed to double check everything, and I wanted to make sure that students knew how to read their grades. Instructions are on Google Classroom. They filled out this paper of the quizzes that they wanted to retake, or if they were happy with their grade and didn't want to retake anything, and that was an option to check as well. They needed to do quiz corrections in order to actually get a retake, and that has been for this whole year. On Tuesday, we looked at division with rational numbers. So two methods that we were looking at. One, and this is something that I didn't learn until I was a teacher, because we always learned just the shortcuts for everything when we were kids, is that you can divide straight across, right? And so one method that we looked at is finding common denominators. So one, find the LCD, the least common denominator, and then two, divide straight across. Right? So this problem right here was 1 and 3/8 divided by 3/4, right? And so what they need to do is change it into improper fractions or fractions greater than 1, which is what they're calling it now. This one is going to go to 11/8. This one right here, 3/4, that one you don't need to change it to an improper fraction because it's already just written as a fraction. But we do need to have common denominators. That's where this one comes in, right? So if you multiply top and bottom by 2, you will get 6/8. So this will get me 6/8. Dividing straight across. In my numerator, I have 11 divided by 6, so we just leave it like that. And then in my denominator, I have 8 divided by 8, and that just gives you 1. Right? And then so if you have any number over 1, 3 over 1 equals 3, 5 over 1 equals 5, 10 over 1 equals 10, 11/6 over 1 equals 11/6. For the second method, so that's the method that we are normally, this is something that we learned when we were in school, is multiplying by the reciprocal. The reason why we do it this way is because we need students to know why it's happening, right? So we always learn the method of you multiply by the reciprocal, you get your answer. That's just how you do it, right? This one right here, 11/8, right? We already changed it to an improper fraction or a fraction greater than 1 over 3/4. So this one you don't need to have common denominators for, right? So this, if I were to multiply, our goal is to get 1 in the denominator. So if I multiply by 4/3, this will give me 12 over 12, which equals 1. And this is all in the bottom, right? So the whole reason for the reciprocal or for the multiplicative inverse or for when you flip that fraction is so that you could get 1 in the denominator. Okay, whatever you do to the denominator, you have to do to the numerator as well. This is multiplied by 4/3. Multiplying straight across, I'm going to get 44 over 24, and this actually simplifies to 11/6, right? And then I will get 11/6 just like that. Okay, so what we learned, right, when we were younger is we just, oops, let me go back. What we learned when we were younger is all of this, right? So just that whole bottom piece right there, right? 11/8 multiplied by the reciprocal times 4/3, and then you simplify, right? But the whole reasoning for it is because of the denominator and multiplying by that reciprocal so that we can have 1 in the denominator. I don't know why this is racing so slowly. Okay. Of course, students can use that shortcut method, but again, we're gonna have to teach them the reasons behind it. On Wednesdays, we did division with decimals, right? So looking at this one, the whole purpose of this is we reviewed that students, when we do 16 divided by 7/500, the method of dividing is you move it over the decimal over so you can get the whole number. Whatever you do on the outside, you have to do it on the inside too. And so my zeros are there, right? And then what we wanted to teach students is that 16 over 7/500 is the same thing as 160 over 7.5. All I did was move the decimal for both of them, which is also the same thing as 1600 divided by 75, right? These are all going to equal the same thing when you divide them. If you use a calculator, they all equal the same thing. So it's just being able to manipulate your numbers, not change the values, but manipulate the numbers so that it's easier for you to work with. And that's what we looked at. On Thursday was our RTI day part 2, because we're not having any actual RTI for the month of October because we have safety drills. And then we had a couple advisory plus lessons. But students, I took their requests that we did on Monday, and then they did retakes on it on Thursday, but they had to do corrections first. So there's only maybe like 20 students out of my 150 that actually did the test corrections in order to retake it. They can still retake tests from first quarter as well. It won't affect their quarter grade, but it will affect their semester grade. So I definitely highly recommend that. And then on Friday, we had parent teacher conferences. So teachers were working until like 7 o'clock at night on Thursday. And then they were working again, doing parent teacher conferences on Friday at school. So that is it for the week. Again, I requested this last video, but again, if you guys could just go through your students' backpacks, pull out all the materials, do a reset of like their organization, but also like find any pencils, glue sticks, any of those things, put it in a baggie, send it to school with them, tell it to give it to one of their teachers. That would be awesome because we are, again, low on supplies. So that is it for this week. And thank you.